everyone. My name is Jusilia Carena, and I'm from Argentina, District 4851. I'm very glad to have you here again for the ones that have been in the first session. If not, welcome everyone to our very first training seminars from RIQ, as Annie said. I'm very glad and very happy to see you all. And with my co-worker or teammate, Jasmine Svensson, we have been working very hard for this to happen. We have here a very, very exciting speaker, Michelle Bohreer. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce very well your last name. She's a very enthusiastic person and a very active one, so you won't get bored. I'm super glad that you're all here on a Saturday. So, Jasmine, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Jasmine Svensson. I'm from Indiana in the U.S. I've been working with Lucila for the past month and a half now to try and pull this together. I mean, it's been a lot of work, but it's been really exciting. And having not received a whole bunch of training myself for Interact, I'm excited, and I hope we all find this beneficial, because I know I will. Our last speaker was super engaging. Based on the few minutes I've heard Mrs. Bohreer speak, I can tell that she definitely is as well. And thank you for taking time out of your Saturday, especially those that are here at 11 p.m. That shows an immense amount of dedication. So thank you. And we'll hand it over to Mrs. Bohreer.
Thank you, guys. I am so excited to be spending a little bit of time with interactors who took the pandemic and turned it into an opportunity. Let's think about the Rotary theme this year. Rotary opens opportunities. But for COVID-19, and I have to tell you, I can't think of many good things to say about COVID-19, but for COVID-19, I would not be sitting here having conversations with each of you. So I'm really excited about how you've turned something like COVID-19 into an opportunity. And every time I engage with interactors, it gives me confidence in the world for the future. Because you are the future of Rotary, you're the future of governments, you are the future vaccine creators, you're the future scientists, economists, you are our future, and you give me great hope for that. Well, in order to maximize that future, each one of us has to learn to lead. And today we're going to talk about leadership. And when I talk about leadership, a lot of people have their own ideas about who is that leader that they've always wanted to be like, that they've emulated. Who would that person be? So I want each of you really quickly in the chat box to tell me who your number one go-to ideal leader. And it doesn't have to be someone alive today. It could be someone from the past. Who is that person for you? Who do you think exemplifies great leadership? Nelson Mandela. We were just talking about South Africa. Nelson Mandela, what an incredible leader. What a different type of leader. And we're going to talk about those different types of leadership that come in. But I love my chemistry teacher. I have had a teacher change my life. And so I love the fact somebody would say a teacher is someone that they think emulates them as a leader. And then we have Paul Harris, the innovator of Rotary International. What a great one. But be thinking about that as we start talking. I'm going to share my screen and start to run our PowerPoint presentation for today. And the one thing that you guys all have to remember is I'm a lot older than you. And so all of this Zoom business that you guys have taken to, and that you're like, oh, wow, I can do Zoom and I can create breakout rooms. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys are here to help me, because in terms of leadership in the virtual world, you guys are already there as the key leaders. So thanks for that. But when we talk about leadership, we talk about inspiring people, sharing vision, creating vision together, leading change. But most importantly, being a great leader is about empowering others to maximize their potential so that they become great leaders. We don't want to hog the limelight. We want to encourage and inspire others. Well, when I think about leaders, there are so many that pop into my head, whether it's a great leader like Winston Churchill of the past or like Barack Obama. These are very different leadership styles. But sometimes before you go out to take on a new charge, everybody just needs a pep talk.
Michelle, if you can turn on your sound screen from your computer so we can all hear it. Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Excellent.
You're good at that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, you're on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. Two roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. And it hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My pants broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were two paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing, unless you dream stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, yes, he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything, I'm just a kid. But I do know this. It's everybody's duty to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it.
Everybody should be on the road to awesomeness, right? Isn't that the key? Don't we all want to take that path when we have that opportunity to choose? That we want to take the path to dance, to a world that's filled with joy and hope. That's the ideal world for all of us. And if you're a great leader, then you inspire people to take that road, to take the path that's going to lead to more people being engaged and more people taking that road to dance. So one of the great leaders that I like, this is a quote that I found, and it's by the leader Nikki Haley. Some of you may know her. She's a politician. She's in government in the United States. And what she says is this: whatever you do, be great at it and make sure people remember you for it. So some of you are thinking, well, being great at something is one thing, but how do I make people remember me? I don't know. Maybe you have a really energetic personality that people don't forget. Maybe you dress up. I have as the Rotary Fairy, and I've done training with butterfly wings and a tutu, because you've got to do whatever it takes to make people not forget you when you're a great leader. So I want to talk about the epitome of leadership. And the question, can you make him or get him to drink? Right? When we say you can lead that horse to water, but what's next? Great leaders know how to make sure what needs to be accomplished is accomplished. So today we're going to spend some time talking about what type of leader are you? And in your own Interact clubs, what is your club culture? And this would apply to whether it's your Interact club, when you go to college, what your college class team is, When you work in the workplace, what's your leadership, your work team like? What's that culture? And we're going to talk about how critical culture is to effective leadership. And then we want to talk about who are influencers, because to be a great leader, you need to recognize those people who can help you accomplish your goal. They're the influencers, whether it's in your club or anywhere else in your life. So that's what I'm hoping by the end of today, that each of us walks away from this training understanding better. So I want to feature a few different leaders, and then we're going to talk about each of them. So let's talk about our first one.
Now tell me, what does that mean to be noble? Your title gives you claim to the throne of our country, but men don't follow titles. They follow courage. Now our people know you. Noble and common, they respect you. And if you would just lead them to freedom, they'd follow you. And so would I.
So does everyone know who William Wallace is? So William Wallace led the Scots in the first fight for Scottish freedom. And you heard what he said to King Richard, who was in the clip. You have a title, but are you going to be able to get men to follow you? See, I have the privilege and honor of the title of district governor-elect, but that title alone is not going to inspire people to follow me. It's just a title. Some of you have titles in your Interact clubs. It takes more than that to be a great leader. So that's King Richard had a choice to make. Was he going to step up and be a leader, or was he going to solely rely on that title that he had been given? Well, let's see what happened.
What will you do without freedom? Will you fight? Fight against that? No! We will run! And we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
So what do you think? Do you think those men listening to William Wallace, ask them that question? Would you give your life to sleep one night under freedom? Do you think he met the challenge of Nikki Haley? These guys are not going to forget him, are they? Will they follow his lead? Does he inspire them to put their lives on the line? Or is he someone that hasn't done enough to get those men to fight with him and follow him? I don't know about you, but I think William Wallace was successful in leading the Scots to freedom. Well, I don't have to guess that, do I? That's what history tells us. But not everyone is going to be able to inspire and lead the way William Wallace led. In fact, each of us has to think about what our leadership style is. Are you an autocratic leader? Are you a democratic leader? Do you lead with a transactional style? Do you lead with a transformational style? Or are you a laissez-faire leader? What type of leader are each of you? So I want to talk for a minute about the different types of leadership. But before I do that, I'm going to pause my screen share a minute. Hopefully be able to get back where I can see you guys and get to the chat room. Yes, I want you guys to tell me, what is your go-to leadership style? What do you think is your go-to leadership style? Based upon William Wallace, are you a democratic leader? Are you a transactional leader? Are you an autocratic leader? What's your go-to leadership style? So we have democratic. Boy, a lot of democratic leaders in this group. How exciting to have that. A transformational leader. That's a wonderful goal for everyone, is to be able to lead in a transformational way. So I love seeing this in the chat box. You guys keep putting those in. Let's talk a little bit about these leadership styles. So an autocratic leader, that's probably the leadership style that frankly gets the most negative commentary. Nobody really wants to say, yep, I'm an autocratic leader. That's kind of like saying I'm a dictator, and that's not a really team inspiring comment, now is it? So autocratic leadership, high control, little input, just make the decision yourself and go with it. Then we have the transactional leader. And what does a transactional leader do? The transactional leader uses rewards and punishment to get people to do what they want them to do. So a transactional leader is actually making people think that they're involved in the process, but they're really just giving rewards or punishing for that bad behavior and not following the path that the leader wants taken. Like most of you, then there's the democratic leadership style. It's very participatory. We ask people to be involved. In many instances, we think of democratic as a voting process, like the countries we live in that have democratic governments. We vote, we share in the decision making. We are leaders together in that decision making process. Then we have the laissez-faire. So in some respects, a laissez-faire leader is the very opposite of an autocratic leader. A laissez-faire leader is hands-off. Let the group's will be done. Whatever the group wants to do, it's okay with me. The laissez-faire leader fully delegates over to the group the path that will be taken. Now, some of us might say, no, that's really the lazy leader, but and not laissez-faire, but it's a leadership style. Some leaders find it effective to fully delegate a task or a project. And sometimes, and we'll talk about that, is when that works very well. Then we have that transformational leader, the leader that works together with a team to identify what needs to be done, how we're going to do it, and how we're going to work together to make our dream a reality. That's that transformational leadership style. Many times people always say, I want to be a transformational leader. That's my goal. I always want to be a transformational leader. Well, guess what? There are times when we don't have time for transformational leadership, right? Let's think about that. If you're in a building, if you're in school, and all of a sudden there's smoke in the hallway, we don't have time to take a vote about whether to leave the room or not. We don't want to leave it to the students to decide whether to leave the room or not. And we clearly cannot create a vision and an execution plan about whether to leave the room. We need an autocratic leader that is going to say, get out of the room. There's smoke on fire. When there's smoke, there could be fire. So autocratic leadership is not always bad. In fact, at times, autocratic leadership is exactly what has to happen. You see, sometimes we don't have the luxury or benefit of the time that the different types of leadership require. We need more time to develop a system that would allow vote and input from the group. So let me talk about the other negative leadership type, the laissez-faire leader. So many people do think laissez-faire leadership is really a leader that is not a leader. They are really lazy. But I'm going to challenge you there. Have you ever had someone delegate a project to you and allow you to lead the project and shine, actually accomplish things you never thought possible, that you didn't think you could achieve what was delegated to you? So that's a laissez-faire leader that allowed you to lead, that delegated the leadership to the group to do. Well, I don't think that leader was lazy. That leader was allowing others to lead. So it's not always negative to be hands-off and to delegate to the group. But ideally, transformational leadership is a type of leadership I would encourage you to implement in your Interact clubs or in Rotary clubs or in your business world. Because transformational leadership is fully engaged team. So transformational leadership goes with the concept of team and building a team. And what we know is that when we work together as a team, there's an acronym for team. Together, everyone achieves more. That's team. And in a transformational leadership environment, that teamwork allows us to do more, to build more, and to achieve greater things. I want to talk about some other famous leaders and their leadership style. Let's look at the next one.
Mother Teresa, to me, an icon of compassionate care for the poor and the disadvantaged.
Mother Teresa is one of the great humanitarians of the 20th century because of her ability to love those who were the most vulnerable in society. The work she did in India really challenged entrenched notions of caste and gender roles, and she worked very closely with lepers and other people who were disenfranchised, marginalized, dispossessed.
During the 60s, Mother Teresa opened hospices, orphanages, and leper houses all over India, and later expanded internationally. In 1982, during the siege of Beirut, Mother Teresa traveled through a war zone to evacuate 37 children, and later assisted radiation victims at Chernobyl and earthquake victims in Armenia.
Mother Teresa cares about people. She recognizes their spiritual dignity. She takes care of not just their spiritual needs, but their bodily needs as well. And she gathers other people to help her do that. That, in my mind, is a good humanitarian.
By 1986, Mother Teresa operated 517 missions in more than 100 countries.
A very charismatic nun, this little old nun with the wrinkled face and the very simple white sari, caring for the dying on the street, people that have so little hope. That's one of the reasons that she was given the Nobel Prize.
So Mother Teresa is absolutely a different type of leader than William Wallace, isn't she? But how effective she is as a leader. Though she is quiet, she's not screaming at her troops. She's not getting everyone revved up and excited. Instead, she's serving. And she's serving alongside people and taking a role, showing people what humanity and service looks like. That's a different style of leadership, being a servant leader. It's not inspiring in word, it's inspiring in deed. And we each have the opportunity to lead as Mother Teresa led through the service work that we do through Interact and through Rotary. We can be those servant leaders like Mother Teresa. I want to show you another new leader who, again, he's not like William Wallace and he's not like Mother Teresa, but I bet he's a leader that each one of you on this call knows very well.
You know, I don't have that many things that are extravagant tastes, so didn't change too much.
So nothing really changed. So you didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to buy a Porsche."
I did.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you did. All right.
Yeah, that was an indulgence, and
so you have a Porsche and a plane, and that's it.
Well, in terms of crazy things, yeah.
Yeah. There's not like any wild, like you didn't build like an aquarium with sharks in it or something like that.
We have a trampoline room in our house.
Oh, wow.
The kids like that. Indoor trampoline. I recommend it.
Just one giant trampoline?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a room with a very high ceiling.
Well, yeah, I hope. Yeah. That would be cruel if you didn't put a high ceiling in there. Just go on, kids. All right, so let's talk about this. So you have already put $40 billion of your own money into your foundation.
Yep.
$40 billion. And you've, I think, kind of encouraged other billionaires to do this as well, because it really is kind of up to the people to fix the problems in the world, it seems, right? So what is your main focus right now?
My wife Melinda and I picked global health as our big.
So again, a different type of leader, right? So let me just ask you all, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see your faces better. What's the common thread with respect to the leadership of William Wallace, Mother Teresa, and Bill Gates? What do they have in common in terms of how they lead and what their leadership style is? So you guys turn yourselves off mute. We're actually going to talk for a minute. Okay, so what do you think? What do they have in common in how they all lead?
They know how to convince others.
They do, don't they? They know how to get people to follow them, right? I love that. What else do they have in common as leaders?
They're dominant. So they know what exactly to do.
Do you think they always knew that?
No, I mean, everything is also a surprise kind of. So, but I mean, they know their way and not the way, but they know what they want to have at the end. So they're really straightforward.
Yeah, excellent. They know what they wanted. They had set their goals and they knew what they wanted their goals to be, right? What else do they have in common with how they lead?
Pilar from Argentina, she said that they inspire others.
They inspire others. Absolutely, they do. I would like to be one of any of those three leaders and how they can inspire. But I'm gonna tell you that they have one thing in common that is so simple, and it's a leadership skill that each one of you on this call can utilize and master. So let's look at what that is. Each one of these three, they lead by example. When you saw William Wallace on the battlefield, you didn't see William Wallace over in a corner, sitting in a chair, drinking a Diet Coke. You saw William Wallace with a sword in his hand, fighting, taking on the British. He was fighting for the freedom of the Scots. When you saw Mother Teresa in the slums and giving out medicine, you didn't see her again sitting in a car watching while others served those that were less fortunate. You saw her holding those babies with HIV. You saw her giving shots. You saw her feeding the masses of people who were hungry. And then let's think about Bill Gates and the example he set. Well, in the Rotary world, the Gates Foundation has been a partner in eradicating polio and in the mission of Rotary to end polio in our lifetimes. You see, you all will have the opportunity to see a world where polio doesn't exist. And that's because Bill Gates led by example. He gave $40 billion to global health initiatives. He led by example. And each of you can too. We all have that opportunity to lead in that way. You see, if we want other people to get up on a Saturday morning and go to our Interact training, we need to get up. We need to ask if they need a ride. We need to bring people there. If we want to show up at 11 p.m., now almost midnight, in some countries, we lead by example. We show up, we're there. We're leading in a way that will reflect what we want others to do. And each of us has that opportunity, and it's not even that difficult of a skill. But I'll tell you, it's the number one skill to being an effective leader. If you lead by example, you will be more successful leading than a leader who is just inspirational, who is just exciting or energetic. Because all the energy in the world, if you're not willing to work and do what you're asking others to do, will ultimately fail to accomplish as great a results as if you're on the line working with others. So I want to take some time. We're going to break you guys into groups and actually let you talk versus me talking for a few minutes. And then we're going to come back and talk together. And some of this is a little bit like what we've talked about before. And some of it is about your Interact clubs. So I want to know, how do you intend to work together with your Interact club to make your club vibrant? Then I want you all to ponder what I think is an age-old question. Almost that question like, is it the chicken or the egg? Which came first? Well, the same is true with leadership. Are leaders born or are they developed? Which one? And then we've already talked a little about your leadership style before we dove into that. Let's talk more about that. I want you to talk about the obstacles that come to achieving goals based upon your natural leadership style. And then the thing I really want us to come back and spend time talking about is why strong leadership is important. Why is strong leadership and a strong leadership team necessary to building a vibrant and impactful Interact club? So if we can now all zoom away, we're going to zoom away for 15 minutes. You're going to be broken into your breakout groups, and then you're going to come back. So the first thing I want you to do in your breakout room, this goes with our topic, I need a leader. So I need somebody in each breakout room who is going to be willing to come back and report to us about our conversation. What was the predominant leadership style? What makes effective leadership in making your club vibrant? How are you going to work together as a team to do that? We want to come back, but I need that person in each room to be willing to lead that conversation. So you guys make that decision. We'll zoom off into our breakout rooms, and then we'll all come back. We're going to have 5 minutes per team to report on some of your ideas about how you're going to do it. How are you going to lead to make your club more vibrant? What are some of the thoughts that you all had as a group? So with that, if you'll zoom us off into our breakout rooms, we'll get started.
Okay, we're ready, Michelle. Everyone is here.
Awesome. Okay, who wants to go first? Why don't we go in breakout room order if you even paid attention to what breakout room number you had. So why don't we start with breakout room number 1? Who is my leader? Who decided? And it was funny because I was in a breakout room. It's interesting to see how the leader got chosen. So who was the leader for breakout room number 1 that wants to start sharing?
Of course, my group was really talk active. Okay, no, but we really got really good ideas. So we said that a lot of people can be inspired and they will also follow the leaders. But we also have to think that there are different kind of leaders. So everybody is special and different. And leadership is developed because like everyone can learn it and get the skills. But for example, I also thought that I think there are some like different kinds of leadership. So like it also depends on how strong you are as a leader, and that can be different by your character. We also said that leadership is only when others are also doing something. So for example, when you're doing a presentation and a leader is, or someone, a person is in front of everybody and says, write down a specific sentence on your paper, but nobody's doing it. Would you even call that person a leader? It's like a question. Leadership is important to have a structure. And a really good idea, or what I think is really good from someone, was that leaders are proposing ideas that everyone can participate in, making it, to make the club more participatory. I don't know how to say that word. And so that others can contribute to the idea, if leaders give ideas. And so that the project belongs to everyone. So yeah, that was everything. If you have any questions, just ask.
So that's excellent, Lana. Thank you so much for that. I love that your group believes that leaders are developed, which means if we are not born a leader, we still have a chance, right? Because we can become leaders. We can learn to be great leaders. And I wrote down the question that you posed with your example. If no one follows you, are you really a leader? What a great concept you've raised in our thinking of leadership, right? So if you ask everyone to pick up their pen and write and no one does it, are you actually leading? Great question. I'm glad that your group was thinking like that and inspiring. So who's my next leader that wants to share with us?
Hi, I was on group 4. And we talk about various different things. And we talk about how leaders have to be inclusive. And leaders have to be inclusive in the way that, for example, they make the new members feel comfortable and they help them and ask them to also like join in the meetings and participate more. They also have to be or have innovation, and they have to, for example, in this quarantine, they have to find new ways of making them feel of making them want to participate and be part of the group and feel like home. And also, like, leaders, like, there is no point of having a president if they have no one to guide. What presidents do, or leaders in this case, they just take like the group's abilities and then they tell them what to do. So they feel happy in what they're doing, and they're also like helping the whole club, let's say.
Thank you for that. I love 2 characteristics of leadership that you came out with: inclusive and innovative. So we can use our 2 I words to add to those key characteristics of a great leader. Those are wonderful traits: innovative and inclusive. And as we go into, as you all become the leaders of the world, that concept of inclusion is so critical and so important. So my generation, and yes, I'm willing to age myself, I'm just a little older than you are, maybe college. But, my generation, we thought we were very open because we talked about diversity. Well, what we know now is diversity isn't enough, because diversity just means we recognize that people are different. Inclusion means we recognize the difference and we accept the difference as if we are all one. So that's inclusion. And I would argue to you, we're going to add another word into that, and that's equity. Equity is allowing everyone, no matter our differences, to have the exact same view, the exact same opportunity, the exact same life in this world. You all are going to be the champions of inclusion and equity, and we need you to do that. So Sylvia, thank you so much for bringing us those 2 I words in leadership. Who's our next leader that wants to share?
I can share.
Wonderful.
Okay, so I was part of breakout room 1, and some of the things that we were talking about is like what type of leadership roles we exercise in our own clubs. And so first, like most of us were either democratic or transformative. We had some people also say that like transformative or like laissez-faire, like in which they were trying to make the club do its own thing, or like try to make this like a lot of student inclusion in the process rather than like leadership. But so like that, and we also found out that people like our group was really advocating for like working together as a group rather than having like a board or any type of like formal leadership, because we were trying to, like you said, like working together is one of the most like is one of the best things that we can do in order to create new ideas, and that everybody working together will generate innovative ideas in order to improve on the ones that like the original leaders already made. So we also discussed how to make the club more vibrant. We discussed that if we have a lot of small groups or like small like leadership groups discussing different type of ideas and things like bouncing off ideas off each other would be the best type of action to make the club more vibrant, because like when you have too many people, it gets overcomplicated. So it's better to have a kind of a smaller group, but also not just like 1 or 2 people, because it's important to have like different ideas and make sure that everybody has their like an equal amount of talking time rather than just like a few seconds or like not even any talking time if the group is too big. We also discussed how important communication is. Communication like is very important in order to make sure your other members of the club feel included and they don't feel like the leader is not including them. And we also have to have communication in order to like know what the other club members are doing and how to improve on like what the club is doing right now. Some of our members said it was hard to communicate, and that like the leadership was feeling like less like a leadership because the members were feeling like they didn't have trust in the leader because there was less communication. So we feel like communication is very important in order to make sure the leader is actually like acknowledged as a leader. And it's also another part is being able to reflect on yourself, understand yourself, reflect on yourself in order to like Mother Teresa like was one of the examples, like be able to understand yourself and know what you can give to other people is an important trait of a leader. And also an important trait of a leader is to identify the strengths of members and make sure that they get a fair amount of work, and make sure everybody has their strengths acknowledged and doing what they think is best for them. And also an important trait of a leader is delegation, being able to spread the work between other people rather than just taking up the entire burden of like the work by themselves, because no one can do anything by themselves and it won't be the best if you just leave it to one person. So the important role of a leader is to not be the only leader or like not be the only worker.
Oh, excellent work. So we've added some great ones out of that one. And I'm going to come back and challenge you on one of them. But communicative. So a great leader is communicative. They know how to tell their story. They know how to set goals and communicate their goals, right? Communication being a real critical component of great leadership. I love that you added self-reflective, right? So they have to be able to look at themselves to see, are they becoming what they're aspiring others to be? Are they mirroring that great leadership quality that they want in others? So that's self-reflecting. They need to be a great delegator. They need to empower others, is how I would put that delegation role. They need to be empowering of others. And great point, they need to be appreciative. A great leader knows that you need to recognize those that are working hard to accomplish the goal, because recognition inspires people to work more when they know that what they're doing is being appreciated and recognized. So those are some really great leadership qualities. But Rahika, I want to challenge something you said. You sometimes said it's best to work in a team where there are no leaders. So I want to ask the group, is there really ever a team where there is no leader?
Well, there might be some times where like everybody is on the same, like is having the same amount of participation, and there's not one leader that's like telling people what to do. Although it would be kind of hard to coordinate any like big service project with like using that type of leadership, because everyone would have like differing ideas. So it's important to have a leader to consolidate different ideas.
And that's why I was challenging it, because I believe whether someone has a title of leader or not, in every group or team situation, if you're trying to accomplish the goal, you will have people rise up in portions of that project and take on the role of leader for a component of that group activity. It's just natural, because left to ourselves, we're ourselves. So it's going to be natural in any group environment that you're going to see that opportunity where someone is leading. Someone's either facilitating activity. Facilitation is a form of leadership. If you are encouraging others to get involved, you're leading as well. It was very brave to say that some members of your group exercise laissez-faire leadership at times, because I think that's a bold, brave move to say, I'm going to allow others to make those decisions. But I love that you posed that issue, because now I'm going to be thinking about this group environment, if there can be one where there's truly no leaders. Thank you for sharing that. What other group do we have? Do we have any other leaders who haven't shared with us?
Yes.
Sarah hasn't shared.
Yeah, I'm the leader of break room number 2. And so we had like a lot of leadership styles. We had the autocratic and the democratic and transformationals, and the democratic and lazy one too. So it was really important to us to recognize the importance of knowing when to shift those leadership styles to get actual good results in our group and in our club. So we also talked about the importance of the question that was, are leaders born or developed? We really love that question, because we share that it can be both, but it's like talent and hard work. Being born as a leader is not going to pay off if you don't develop those leadership skills. I think that children are like sponges. They can catch everything, and if they see their parents being good citizens, or if they see somewhere on TV, I don't know, a leader, like an international leader in the government or organizations or service, they're going to know that that is important and what they want to do with it. It's important to us, also teenagers, to develop those leadership skills. And it's always going to be important, even when we're, I don't know, babies or middle schoolers or adults. It's really important. And so also we talked about the importance of, sorry, let me check my notes, a strong leadership. We said that act, speak louder than words. Is that the phrase? I think it is. It's really important as a leader of Rotary or Interact to act and to show people that we are actually participating, that we're actively participating, and it's important to us. We can be president or just a member, that is also important, but we have to do something to inspire other people and other members in the community to come and join and help people that need it. It's also very important to know what the members of our club want. if they want to help, I don't know, an orphanage or some, I'm sorry, I forgot the word, some organization that helps puppies or animals outside in the streets, it's really important to recognize the participation of other members of the club and also always have a strong leadership.
Zara, that's excellent. You know, it's always so wonderful for me. I learn something every time I go through this process, because you just raised yet another component that no one else had talked about yet, which is a great leader asks their team what they want. Isn't that a little bit shocking, right? It's not what my goal is or what I want to accomplish. It's asking my club, what do you want to do? And then leading in the activity that they've already bought into. If you have a club that's already decided that they're passionate about a project, it's a lot easier to lead a passionate group. I have tried to lead people who are not passionate about what they're doing. It's like pulling teeth. It's not the easiest thing to do. But if you're leading them in a direction where they're already excited and passionate, that's half the battle, right? We're already there. And one thing you said, and you didn't say it quite that way, but what you said, Zara, is it's really important to be doing what you're asking people to do. And that's that key to leading by example. Because if you're mirroring behavior you want others to take, whether they're children, elementary school students, middle school students, high school students, or adults, if you're mirroring the behavior that you want others to have, they're more likely to start mirroring that behavior back. That's leading by example. And I love that you guys picked that up. I always applaud anyone who's willing to say at times they are autocratic leaders, because especially in a group like this, people don't like to admit they're autocrats, right? They don't want to say, well, sometimes I'm a little bit of a dictator. So the brave one or more that said they were autocratic at times, you're not alone. I'm an autocratic leader at times too, because I think there are times when that's the leadership style you have to use. And what I would encourage you to think of is every one of those leadership styles, and actually just sit down and brainstorm, what's the circumstance where this would be the right way, the best way to lead in a given scenario? Because it's not all or nothing. We really have that opportunity to learn these different leadership skills. And the faster you can identify the best way to lead in a certain situation, the better you're going to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Autocratic doesn't always inspire others or build goodwill and better friendships. It's a little hard in the Rotary world to take on an autocratic leadership style, but sometimes you still have to do that. But Zara, thank you so much for sharing that. And also you said some leadership, are they born or are they developed? It's both. I believe there are people, Nelson Mandela was one of the people that you all put in the chat box in the beginning. And I've had the pleasure of reading his book, and I would encourage people to read that if you want to read about someone who was a true servant leader. But I believe he was born at a time and a place to be able to lead as he led. So was he born a leader, or was he born in a given space to have the opportunity to lead as he did? There's a little bit of a question, but that is important. Where do you show up in an environment? Where do you walk in, and how does that give you that opportunity to lead? So did anybody in the group, was there something that they thought was important that they wanted to share with us that maybe was missed? You guys were exceptional. I have all these great leadership notes that I've taken from your breakout session. So thanks for that. And if not, we're going to start talking about one last thing. I don't know why my slides don't want to work right. I'm just going to tell you. But we are going to start talking about culture. So remember, we talked about there's leadership and then there's culture, and how do they fit together? And I'm going to tell you that culture drives everything, And great leadership leads to an inspiring culture, and poor leadership leads to either no culture or a bad culture. And if you don't have that, if you don't have culture, you really don't have anything. Have you ever reflected on the question of what is the culture of my Interact Club? One of you said that a great leader makes everyone feel welcome and invited in the group. So I'll tell you that's also critical to culture. Is your culture one that is inviting and welcoming to newcomers? If not, your team is going to stay the same size, or arguably your team will get smaller, because as new ideas, new people, new growth doesn't happen, there's burnout. It's the same group. We're doing the same thing. We're not getting fed. We're not getting that new idea, that new energy that comes in. So culture is going to drive everything. So the culture of your club is going to lead to leadership development. If you have a club like many of the teams that you were describing that welcomes new people, that welcomes new thought, you're going to have more people willing to step up and say, I'm willing to lead. Because they feel as though you will support them in leading, right? If you have a project, I don't know about the rest of you, and you don't have to show hands or unmute and say it's ever happened to you. But I personally have been unsuccessful in projects before. I have tried really hard, and despite all my efforts, I did not accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. Well, you know what? If when that project was over, if I walked back into my Rotary Club and they said, man, Michelle, you sucked. I mean, really, you were so bad. How come, we didn't get done what we thought we could get done. You didn't do what you should have done, Michelle. You think I would still be in that Rotary Club? No. Do you think I would say yes to lead another project? No. But if instead the culture in my club was one of support that said, wow, Michelle, we accomplished so much. And we focused on what we succeeded at accomplishing, not what we failed at, not what we did not accomplish, but what we did accomplish, I'm going to feel great. And guess what? The person next to me who was afraid to lead a project because they were afraid of failure is more likely to say, I'll lead a project because the culture of our club was one of support, and we're gonna support that leader just like they supported me when I didn't accomplish all of the goals that we wanted to accomplish. Because that's how we're going to develop that leader. We're also going to have a better team dynamic if we have a culture of support, a culture of engagement, a culture that's communicative. Right? Because our teams are going to work better. The more we communicate, the more open we are, the more authentic. And I love that word, authentic. It's different than being honest. You can be honest and not be authentic. Authentic is expressing your true self, even when it is not a popular view, right? You're going to be authentic. And so if you have authenticity in your team, and authenticity is part of your culture, of your Rotary, your Interact Club, you're going to grow more. How many of you, by show of hands or put in the chat box, because I'm curious, have embraced the concept of having a strategic plan for your Interact Club? Have any of you got strategic plans in Interact? Christine does. Oh my gosh, Christine, it's already after midnight. Zara, you have your hand raised. Do you have one? Unmute yourself. You guys tell me, do you guys have strategic plans? Zara does. That's awesome. President Holger, the president of Rotary International this year, is encouraging every Rotary Club to have a strategic plan and to actually invest in strategic planning. And that's how a true leadership model in your club can be developed, is through a strategic plan. Where do you see your club next year? Where do you see your club in 3 years? And who is going to lead in each of those components? That's all going to come from your club culture. If your culture's open, embracing, inclusive, then you're going to be able to accomplish a strategic plan that has great leadership, great growth, membership growth, and development. So we're always going to want to come back to what is the culture that's going to allow the greatest leaders in your club to have the greatest success for your team. And culture is everything. This is my district. We've taken on as a theme this year, culture, and to inspire culture. And we've actually asked our clubs, and I'm going to ask you to perhaps go back to all of your Interact clubs and do it. And do a club health check. Have you ever done that in your Interact club? If you go on Rotary.org, you can find the health check form. And if you guys want one, I'll send one to you. But it basically asks some questions about your club culture. Are you inviting? Are you open? Are you inclusive? Are you accepting? Do you allow others the opportunity?
Look how many.
Because
there was a lot of people in the truck, a lot of them, bunch of them.
If you do allow that, if you do your health check and you see what kind of club you have and how you guys work together as a team, you can really learn a lot about your culture, and you can see how your club is doing. I tell people the easiest way to know if you have a culture that is inviting, how many new members did you get last year? So if you didn't get any new members in your club last year, are you a club that's open, inclusive, and welcoming? Why aren't you getting new members? How many of you actually do health checks where you ask yourself, why did people leave? Right? Why did anybody leave the club? Has anybody done that? I mean, you guys are in Interact. If they graduate, it doesn't count. Okay? if they graduate, it doesn't count as how your club culture is. But who does those club health checks on their culture? How many of you in your role in leadership are willing to do what I will call a 360 evaluation? Has anyone ever heard that term before? It's where the leader asks those on the team how well the leader did. So you're asking, we usually review down, right? So the leader provides reviews of the people on the team. Well, a 360 review is a review tool that leaders use to learn how to be better leaders, how to inspire people to do more with them. So I would just encourage you in your Interact clubs to say, how am I leading? If you're I know some of you are either the current president of your club or becoming president of your club. I heard that in the breakout rooms. Are you willing to ask your club members how you're doing and let them be honest, give you authentic feedback? If so, what a great way to see what your culture of your club is and your style of leadership. Being a leader that is open to criticism, and notice I didn't just say comments, I said criticism. Sometimes you actually have to get that harsher feedback in order to grow. And you have to be willing to take that criticism in order to grow as a leader. So I'd encourage you to do that as one of your keys to being a great leader. We're now roughly going into an hour and a half together. I appreciate so much your time today, but I wanted to just open up for questions. If anybody has any questions, if there's any topic that you want to talk about for a few minutes, I'd love to answer questions and to engage with you more. As I've said, I've taken my notes of the things I've learned from our conversation today, and I'm really appreciative of that. And Ulrich has his hand up.
I'm the district chair for short-term exchange. Not to change the subject, but I feel every one of you members of Interact are candidates for short-term exchange in the coming year, next summer. Check with your district, check with your clubs, and become a short-term exchange. I will match you with a twin that you never know in a country of your choosing to visit, engage with, and become a doubling of yourself. You're going to visit this twin, and the twin will visit you and your family. Go in on the website of International Short-Term Exchange. It's a most fantastic program in youth exchange. All your interactors should try it. You all qualify, and it's a perfectly safe program. Do it, and you will be changing your life from that day forward. Thank you for letting me talk about short-term exchange.
Absolutely. And if you like decide 5890, which is near the city of Houston, it's the city of Houston area, let me know. Because next year's my year, and I'd love to have any and all of you come to Houston. I would love for you all to come to International Convention in Houston as well. But you know, Ulrich said it right. An exchange is going to change your life. So if you have that opportunity and you can take it, please do. I know some of you have done youth exchange, and I'm sure you can say that you've done that. Any questions that you have, let me know. You guys ask away. And if not, you get your Saturday. Yes.
Sorry. I have a question on how we can increase like communication, especially during the quarantine, because we can't have like actual meetings or anything. So how can we like encourage communication between our club members regularly when like we can't have meetings?
So, you know, we're all struggling with that. Ratika, I think that that's a great question. How do you increase communication? I'm going to give you some ideas, and then I would welcome everybody else to do it. This format, Zooming with your club, an excellent way to do it. You don't have to have Zoom meetings that have a talker like me going, You can have Zoom meetings where you play games. So my Rotary Club is not a traditional Rotary Club. We meet in a bar. We actually have cocktails. We do things a little differently. So we have Zoom happy hours. We have Zoom drinking games. We play Zoom games on the computer. There are computer games where you can actually draw on your computer like Hangman, but you draw things and people die on the game. It's really, you know, it's really actually really fun. Our club loves it, but you can have game night on your club. You can do trivia night. WhatsApp is great to have a WhatsApp group. So you just send out little messages. Sometimes in quarantine, people just want to know they're not alone. So they just want that, hey, how are you? Checking in, anything I can do for you, because that's how you stay connected. And especially it's how you show people that the club cares about them when they can't be together. So you want to just do anything like that. Emails, I don't know about the rest of you guys. I get so many emails. They just bore me to tears at this point. I mean, they're just not exciting. So what we've started doing is videos. So we're doing video mail versus email, and we're being kind of silly or stupid. You know, the new thing now is like TikTok. I'm sure you guys have heard of TikTok. So in our Rotary district, our district governor, our current district governor is a hoot. He's crazy like I am. And so we do our version of Rotary TikToks, and we send them out to our whole district just to get them involved. Do something crazy. Do a weird dance move and challenge everyone in your club to send the video of that dance move. And it may seem like, well, what does that have to do with service? During COVID-19, I think we have to think beyond what it has to do with service. But we also are serving each other. Because your question is, how do we stay together? How do we keep connected? How do we do that? I think you've got to be creative, but I would encourage you, use video messaging, not all email. Use Zoom calls. Do Zoom calls that are interactive so people can do different things. Today we had a quarantine service project where people dropped off things. People with masks and gloves got the things out of the cars. We were socially distanced, packing the bags. And we still did that. And I think you can. You just have to think more ahead about mask and social distancing and wearing gloves when you need them. But you can still do those service projects right now, and I would encourage you to. And any other ideas you guys have, please share with us. Have you all played Kahoot? Do you know the game Kahoot? Right? So you can have a Kahoot night on your with your Interact Club, and we're even doing it to teach people about Rotary. So you could teach people about your Interact Club through a Kahoot game that you create. So you can actually create a Kahoot game again about your Interact Club.
I have a question, or actually two. Can I ask? Okay. Sure. So at first, which is not really related to this topic, but I just wanted to ask to Ulrich from which district you are, or from which country?
So I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm in District 5890. And I know in the chat room, there's a question about getting all of your contact information. You guys are asking for each other's information. Is there a way to make that happen? So people can know who they've been in the meeting with and stay connected? Because I'm seeing it in the chat.
What we
Awesome.
can do is to put the emails of each one, or maybe just the Instagrams, and we can have then me and Jasmine is going to create like a survey so everyone can answer it, and we are going to create like a full list of people that have been in the training seminars, so everyone has their contacts to each one. So that's like the new.
Okay, and also to Ulrich Kuhn, from which country are you, or which district?
Everybody, do you want? Why didn't everybody just real quickly say where they're from?
I'm in the district 6440, the home district. I'm originally from Germany, but I am an American living in the United States. And I'm doing short-term exchange for the last 10 years. And I have hosted 17 exchange students in my lifetime. I'm hooked for life for the short-term exchange program. And I can tell you it's the best program in the Rotary network.
Also ich bin auch Deutsche. But anyway, so yeah, if you also all have questions about short-term exchange, I already did that 2 times. As the first one in my district. But anyways, my question, which is also related to the topic, to Michelle, would you would you say that to yourself that you are a leader?
Yes. If I'm not doing it, nobody would. I consider myself a leader. Yes.
I think the same. Yes. I mean, I think I'm a leader. But I also know how to be a follower. So I think to be a great leader, you have to know how to allow someone else to lead you, and not always tell them what they're doing wrong. So we have to make sure that when when you are the leader, that you lead, but when there's the time when others are leading, we should all be building them up. And no offense to Ulrich or any other men on this call, as women, we need to be lifting up other women. We need to be supporting other women. We need to not be catty and bitchy and unsupportive. We need to be our best advocates, right? So we all need to be lifting each other up and making the world a greater place instead of knocking each other down. And so as an older woman, I lived in a different time. I blazed a different path than each of you are getting to blaze, but you have a path to blaze as a young woman. So I'm just going to encourage you, young men, you have a role too, and you have a critical role in being embracive and inclusive, but just make sure that we're lifting people up, not knocking people down.
Hi, I wanted to say that because of quarantine, and I love interactive quarantine because of that, because it reminds me of all of the various things that I can work on to become a better leader. And I just wanted to say that I love your presentation. And as an Interact club, it would be amazing to have the exchanges in my district because we don't have none. And I'm really working on that. And I love your meeting, and it would be nice to that all of us implement it in our clubs and also in mine. It was amazing, and I thank you for all of the presentation. It has been great.
Thank you, Sylvia. That was very kind. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions? I've learned so much from you guys. I'm loving it. If not, it is time for dinner or time for bed. Christine, it's time for bed. Where you
Yes. For me too, it's the same.